Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Dr. Nurul Ainul Muhammad Nur, Secretary General, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. Yang berhubungan Dr. Dr. Shahira Hamidun, Head of Entrepreneurship and Public-Private Research Network, PPRN Unit, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Professor Dr. Haji Zaini Abdullah, Deputy Vice Chancellor for Industry, Community, Alumni and Entrepreneurship Network, University Technology Magra. Panelists for the Entrepreneurial Educators Forum, Professor Dr. Susie Jarvis, Founding Director, Innovation Academy, University College Dublin, Ireland, Professor Dr. Muhammad Amin MD, Chief Information Officer, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Dr. Abu Hassan Ismail, President and Group Chief Executive Officer, Perasmian, guests from the Ministry of Higher Education and Higher Education Institutions, and all participants of the Entrepreneurial Educators Summit 2017. Assalamu alaikum and a wonderful morning I bid to all. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to welcome all of our esteemed guests and invitees to the Entrepreneurial Educators Summit 2017. We are honored and proud to be able to hold the summit at this magnificent venue, Putrajaya Marriot Hotel, and to convene participants or alumni together with other educators of the Entrepreneurial Educators Enhancement Program, dubbed as 3EP, at this extremely significant inaugural summit. Honorable audience, ladies and gentlemen, carrying the theme Unleashing Entrepreneurship Through Disruptive Entrepreneurial Teaching and Learning, this summit is set to convene almost 300 educators and enthusiasts from all over Malaysia with the intention to deliberate on the new paradigm in entrepreneurship education. We hope that the event that we have planned for this morning will excite our minds and invigorate our enthusiasm for entrepreneurship education, as this is the reason for the gathering today. Before we proceed with this morning's business, I would like to call upon Dr. Muhammad Ali Bahari from MASMED, University Technology Mara, to recite the prayer to bless this morning's event.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. حمدا حامدين. حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم ya Rahman ya Rahim. Sesungguhnya kami berhimpun pada hari ini bagi menyatakan kesyukuran di atas kurnia-Mu yang tidak ternilai. Jadikanlah kami hamba-hamba-Mu yang sentiasa bersyukur nikmat yang berlimpah ruah yang Kau kurniakan kepada kami. Ya Dzal Jalali wal Ikram. Sempena Entrepreneurial Educators Summit ini, kami memohon kehadiran-Mu ya Allah. Engkau berkatilah dan rahmatilah perhimpunan kami ini. Sesungguhnya Engkau Maha mengetahui bahawa kami di sini ingin menimba sedikit ilmu-Mu yang sangat luas bagi mengembangkan potensi kami sebagai hamba-Mu yang Engkau ridai. Maka kurniakanlah kepada kami ilmu-Mu, sinarilah hati kami dengan cahaya dan hidayah-Mu. Semoga dengannya kami mudah menerima dan menghayati serta mengamalkannya. Kurniakanlah juga kepada kami kesihatan anggota, kecerdasan minda, ketenangan jiwa, kekuatan semangat. Semoga dengannya kami mampu mendepani cabaran, berdaya saing dan mampu mengangkat martabat diri, keluarga, masyarakat dan negara. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqana min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma wa la taj'al fina wa la ma'ana wa la man yatba'una shaqiyan wa la matrudan wa la mahruma. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina 'adzaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Ali, for the prayer recitation. May we be in the blessing of God Almighty and His kindness. As promised, to progress with this morning's agenda, I have the great pleasure and honor of inviting Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Dr. Nurul Ainul Muhammad Nur, Secretary General, Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia, to the stage to to deliver the welcoming notes. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Prof. Madian Faizul. Yang berbahagia, Profesor Dr. Haji Zani Abdullah, Deputy VC, UTM, ladies and gentlemen, no need to have a long speech. The next time we have any kind of Majlis. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning and salam negara Malaysia. Let us begin on this occasion with praises to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and we thank Him for this opportunity to gather in this beautiful hall today. It is a pleasure in always and one to welcome all of you from various institutions of higher learning all over Malaysia to the Entrepreneurial Educators Summit 2017. On behalf of the Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, I would also like to welcome our international guests from the City College Dublin, Ireland, and the Vietnam National University Hanoi, who came from afar to witness and be part of this meaningful event today. Your presence will definitely add value to this summit, which marks an important milestone in the execution of the Ministry's agenda on entrepreneurship education. But first and foremost, I would like all to know that I am very passionate when it comes to entrepreneurship. It started when I was working with the World Bank, whereby I was in charge of entrepreneurship. When I was posted I was appointed by the government operation in the World Bank in Washington DC, and I was in charge of entrepreneurial activities in the developing economies. So that sparked my interest in entrepreneurship. And when I was Secretary General of the Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development, I also began the activities of entrepreneurship, not only among women, but also among the disabled. And when I was in the Ministry of Science, Technology, Innovation, my second ministry as the Secretary General, I was also pushing on commercialization of products by MTDC, by SIRIM, by MIMOS, and the rest. And in fact, I introduced, me and my team at a point of time, introduced mostly social innovation, which actually existed until today. So entrepreneurship is really part and parcel of my life, and I'm very fortunate indeed that I'm here today with all of you, and also to listen to your presentation today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're aware of the various expectations among stakeholders of higher education and the rapid change in technology that have forced the ministry to take drastic measures to ensure our higher education system stays relevant and contribute to the building of the nation. Policies and initiatives to spur continued excellence in higher education have been successfully laid out by the ministry in the Malaysia Higher Education Blueprint 2015-2025 that was launched by our Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Sri Najib Razak, in 2015. The blueprint will see major shifts in the way Malaysia higher education systems operates, or what we call the new academia. The shifts are: 1, from producing job seekers to job creators, as shown in the slide. Number 2, focus on university education to academic and TVET pathways equally valued and cultivated. Number 3, from focusing on inputs to focusing on outcomes. 4, highly centralized to a model of earned autonomy for institutions. 5, reliance on government resources to all stakeholders, shared responsibility for higher education resources. 6, mass production delivery model to technology-enabled innovations. And 7, separation of private and public institutions to harmonize the institutes of higher learning. As a result of the many initiatives activated by the ministry, such as the Studios2I, the gap year, massive online courses or MOHE, and the job creator framework, I'm pleased to share that we have made significant achievement of OMA. OMA is an acronym, I would say, which basically U stands for U21 ranking. Malaysian higher education system has shown continuous improvement in country ranking over the last 6 years, from 36 in 2012 and 25 in 2017. M stands for University of Malaya Global Ranking, has jumped from 167 in 2013 to 114 in 2017. We are confident that UM will break the top 100 within the next 2 years. A stands for 5 out of 8 top universities in ASEAN are also among our research universities, in which UM is the top 3, as you see from the slide. Nanyang Technological University, number 1, Singapore. Also number 2, Singapore, National Institute of Singapore. Then Malaysia, University of Malaya. 4th, University Putrajaya, Malaysia. 5th, UKM. 6th, Berlangsung University. 7th, UTM. And 8th, UC Science Malaysia. So in other words, if you were to rank universities, top 10, 50% comes from Malaysia. And R stands for our 5 research universities are in the top 1% in the world among 26,000 universities worldwide, and this is also shown in the slide. As I mentioned just now, they are actually ranked among 26,000 universities that was being done by the US in terms of the ranking at the plant. One of the aspects that receives attention in Malaysia's development policy is the need for the country to have a quality and entrepreneurial human capital. From this perspective, the government of Malaysia recognizes that entrepreneurship is a catalyst for our economic growth, as it is the main driving force in increasing the level of innovation, creativity, and competitiveness. So in other words, we are looking at all the rankings made by the international organizations like the United Nations, UNESCO, IMD, competitive reports. Basically, they are all based from innovation, creativity, and competitiveness, which is actually incorporated with entrepreneurship. We also recognize that entrepreneurship can be an effective mechanism to enhance the socio-economic status of the poor or the disadvantaged, and most importantly, the country's transformation from cash-based to innovative-led economy, which necessitates the need for Malaysia to stimulate entrepreneurial mindset of our younger generation. Entrepreneurship, innovation, and development has become a critical agenda in the majority of Asian eyes. This is evident with the increase in the percentage of graduates choosing entrepreneurship as a career of choice from 1% in 2012 to 2.55% in 2016. The percentage of student entrepreneurs has also increased from 0.5% in 2012 to 3% in 2016. Moving forward, the Ministry of Higher Education has introduced Higher Education Institutions Entrepreneurship Action Plan 2016 to 2020 as an effort to sustain HEI's entrepreneurship agenda and to ensure the achievement of higher education blueprint's objective to produce holistic, entrepreneurial and balanced graduates. The Ministry has set up national targets of which by the year 2020, at least 50% of graduates are involved in some kind of entrepreneurship activities while they are studying, and at least 5% of the graduates will choose entrepreneurship as their career of choice upon graduation. Higher education institutions are also expected to be more entrepreneurial in raising revenues and resources for it to be financially sustainable, thereby lessening dependence on the government. Whereas under Shift 7 of the blueprint, that is innovation ecosystem, researchers from both public and private higher educations are encouraged to engage in demand-driven research as solution providers to technological problems faced by industries in Malaysia. Now, why do we need to transform our higher education? First, our graduates are currently faced with many challenges as they live in a competitive and rapidly changing global economy. For instance, there is a mismatched expectation between education institutions and the workplace, of which 70% of the universities in Malaysia believe they have adequately prepared students for the workplace, but only 40% of employers and graduates agree. There is an urgent need for us to change the mindset of our young generation from a job seeker to a job creator. On this aspect, the data reveals that only 2% of the nation's graduates are self-employed or are running their own businesses. Similarly, only 42% of Malaysians see entrepreneurship as a good career of choice. Hence, to encourage more Malaysians to become entrepreneurs or job creators, it is essential to instill an entrepreneurial mindset amongst youth. This is especially significant taking into account that today's graduate face with a competitive job market and increasing trend among the big companies to lay off their workers. The unemployment rate among our fresh graduates is about 24 to 25% for the past 4 years. In Malaysia, the unemployment rate is very low, which is around 3%. Thus, the issue here is not so much as to a job for graduates, but it is more on whether our graduates can get a job that matches their qualification. That is the issue of underemployment. Now, why does this matter? On this aspect, further analysis indicates that about 40% of our graduates are only able to earn RM 1,500 or below as their monthly income, which is very worrying. Why does this matter? Second, ongoing challenges in attitudes and outlook have made it more difficult for us to instill holistic and balanced values in graduate, thus necessitating new modes of communication to engage the generation-wide cohort. On the other hand, an assessment made by the Ministry on the soft skills competencies of the IHL's new entrants indicate that they are most lacking in entrepreneurship skills, critical thinking, problem solving, and teamwork. Third, higher education must prepare students not only for today's demand, but also for future challenges. For example, a study on job hopping showed that, on average, graduates will change jobs 10 or more times in their lifetime, and that 65% of today's primary school students will be employed in jobs that do not currently exist. Disruptive technologies such as advancement in artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and the automation of knowledge are expected to fundamentally reshape nations' economies and industries. Given these changes, Malaysian higher education needs to produce graduates with transferable skills such as critical and creative thinking, as well as the ability to solve complex problems. In this regard, there is no argument that educators play highly crucial roles to develop entrepreneurial mindsets and interests among our students and help to achieve the common goals of producing graduates who are job creators that will contribute to the sustainable wealth of the nation. The Ministry, therefore, will continue to support educators and enhancement programs such as the 3P, as you educators need to continuously enhance your competency and equip yourself with new teaching and learning methods that require you to learn, unlearn, and relearn the new ways of educating your students from various backgrounds and ages. You will also need to find more innovative, proactive, and sometimes disruptive methods of teaching that will meet the requirement and the demand of the fourth industrial revolution, such as innovative curriculum to support Industry 4.0, emphasis on experiential entrepreneurial learning, expanding from virtual education for TVET, virtual project-based classes, interdisciplinary and lifelong learning. I was made to understand that the participants of this summit come from various disciplines, cutting across public and private higher education institutions. The mix will definitely provide good opportunity for you to share, learn, support, and understand each other's experiences and challenges. The summit also provides a good platform for you to build a community of entrepreneurial educators. To the alumni of the Entrepreneurial Educators Enhancement Program of 3P who are here today, I hope you have benefited from the program and have had a chance to do things entrepreneurially in your respective institutions and share them with other participants of the summit. To the rest of the summit participants, I hope you will get back to your institutions with valuable takeaways and eager to put into practice the best practices you will learn here. To our international guests, please enjoy your beautiful country with diverse cultures and experiences. I assure you that you will not be disappointed. Malaysia, we celebrate diversity. Before I conclude my speech, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate and thank the team from the Entrepreneurship Unit of the Ministry and the team from MASMED, UITM, and SESMED of UKM, and all parties involved in successfully organizing this EES Summit. On behalf of the Ministry, I would also like to thank the speakers, moderators, and presenters for your commitment and valuable inputs. I wish all of you a fruitful, exciting, and meaningful summit. I see that everyone is very serious today. So I hope that at the end of the day, I get good results from all of you due to your seriousness in listening to my talk today. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
If I will request that you remain on the stage, as I would like to call upon Professor Dr. Zaini Abdullah to present you with a token of appreciation for that informative, serious, and extremely realistic presentation of what's going on in this world today. It's a special gift as a determination of one of our students, a budding entrepreneur. Thank you. Thank you, Mubagir Dansri and Professor Dr. Zaini. Would you like me to resume? Okay. Let us resume with this morning's agenda. I'm sure that we are eager to proceed with the next item and the highlight of the program, the forum. For this segment, I again have the honor of inviting moderator cum instigator extraordinaire of the forum, Professor Dr. Zaini Abdullah, the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Industry and Community, Alumni and Entrepreneurship Network, University of Mara, to moderate the forum session entitled New Paradigm for Innovative Teaching and Learning in Entrepreneurship. But before I proceed, it is customary to introduce our esteemed personality, Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Zaini Abdullah. Professor Dr. Zaini is currently the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Industry, Community, Alumni and Entrepreneurship University of Technology, Mara, and has been a professor at the Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School, UITM, since 2011, after starting his career as a lecturer in 2011. He has been a professor since 2011. He holds a PhD in management from the University of Memphis, University Utara Malaysia collaboration. After completing his master's and bachelor in business at Western Illinois University in transport and physical distribution management, following the advanced diploma of business administration studies at the then named Institute of Technology, Mara. He is a facilitator in executive training program locally and overseas, and has done consultancy work in quality, strategic and performance management, global business, as well as training management consultant in various public and private transport organizations. His publication includes works in the Malayan Law Journal Management Series, the Essential Compensation Management System, the University Quality Handbook, UITM, to name a few. Career-wise, he has held a number of management positions in the UITM system, ranging from deanship to 2 deputy vice chancellorships, campus rectorship. In other words, he has been very busy managing. I can say this because he is currently my superior. Professor Dr. Zaini, I shall hand over the stage to you as soon as we have our esteemed and impressive panelists take their seats on the stage with you. If I could invite Professor Susie Jarvis, Founding Director, Innovation at Stanford University, College Dublin, Ireland, Professor Dr. Muhammad Amin MB, Chief Information Officer, University of Malaysia, Dr. Abdul Hassan Ismail, President and Group Chief Executive Officer, Perasmian Berlangsung. If I could invite you to say yes, please take your seats on the stage, and Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Zaini, over to you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all. To greet this morning, certainly, of course, we have with us our Secretary General for Ministry of Higher Education, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Nurul Aino, who have just given us a serious note with some punctures there with regard to how, as much as serious we can be, but we still can, of course, enjoy life in the context of there is always that possibility of us to joke around, inshallah. Berbahagia Tan Sri and all members present this morning, it is with great pleasure for me to be here as the moderator for the session, a very important session. And the forum here, the educators forum here, with this session entitled The New Paradigm for Innovative Teaching and Learning in Entrepreneurial Education. I've been noted that these go with a time in which we should not exceed time. So I'll be very quick in the context of first giving the big picture of what this forum is all about, and then introducing our illustrious guest this morning. Of course, when we talk about entrepreneurship education with regards to teaching and learning, there is always that aspect of we are talking about the 4 approaches to teaching and learning in entrepreneurship education. We talk about venture creation through startup business for students. We talk about simulation and games, very serious one at least. Then we talk about design-based learning, and of course, reflective practice. Those are the things that universities, particularly my university, UITM, would normally do, that kind of an approach. And here we'd like to cultivate the entrepreneurial mindset, not only in universities, but also in school. And again, I would like to be rate, not adding more courses. And of course, in that context, we'd like to move towards an entrepreneurship-oriented education rather than an employee-oriented education by itself. And on that score, I think the paradigm is about the understanding the human dimension in moving students and even lecturers to move towards this so-called entrepreneurship education. Right. Without wasting much time, let me introduce our so-called illustrious panelists for today. First is Professor Dr. Muhammad Amin. He has got a PhD from the University of Leeds in the UK, of course, in Tesla. And Dr. Muhammad Amin is a professor of technology enhanced learning at the Faculty of Education, UKM, University Kebangsaan, a leading consultant, expert and master trainer in e-learning in Malaysia as well in the Asia Pacific region. Of course, under the Malaysian Higher Education Learning Leadership Academic Training, he is also the master trainer, and he has conducted more than 200 specialized training of e-learning, lecture, e-lecture, e-content development, Web 2.0, PR, and also MOHE. And his recent publication is entitled Web 2.0 Tools in the Education Series that have recorded more than 1.5 million reads. Right? That is certainly very interesting. And of course, he had it in slide shares and all those what we call technology-enabled education tools. Currently, he is the Chief Information Officer and CIO, the Director of the Center for Teaching and Learning Technologies, UKM. Presently, also the President of the Mobile Learning Association of Malaysia. For his outstanding and significant work in education, he has received numerous prestigious international awards, including the Open Education for Excellent Individual Educator Award 2016, and the Open Education for Excellent Open MOOC Award 2016, as well as the ISECSO Prize for Science and Technology in 2010 for e-learning technology. Received several national awards, including the National Academic Award 206 in the Teaching and Innovation, the Muslim Outstanding Award 208 Education and the Malaysia Achievement Award 2012 Outstanding Achievement in Education category, and Higher Education E-Learning Personality 2014, and Higher Education Best E-Learning Facilitator in 2014. Certainly very illustrious President. Okay, we'll call upon you shortly. I would like to again introduce the other speaker or the other panelist, which is of course Dr. Abu Hassan Ismail, founder and president, group CEO of Perasmian. Dr. Abu Hassan Ismail is currently the president, group CEO, and founder of Perasmian Berhad. Since the company's inception in 2003, Dr. Abu oversees the successful partnership with global ICT organizations such as Microsoft, Autodesk, IBM, Oracle, and world-renowned institutions, namely Imperial College of London, University of Melbourne, Australia. Under Dr. Abu's stewardship, Perasmian has evolved from being a leading ICT talent and transfer technology solution player in Malaysia. Graduated and trained as an architect, Dr. Abu is a professor turned entrepreneur with a vision to build sustainable global business. In 2015, he was appointed the CEO of Faculty Program by the Ministry of Higher Education under the MOHE blueprint. He believed that his business is scalable and has the right recipe to replicate for the industries. To unlock the value of Perasmian, Dr. Abu took the company listing in 2011 and currently has a market capitalization of over than 1 billion. So that's what Dr. Abu Hassan. Certainly illustrates. And finally, is our own, or rather, Prof. Susie Jabez. When I say our own, she has been to Malaysia many times. So I consider her like coming back home. And the founding director of Innovation Academy, UCD. Professor Susie, Bachelor of Arts, and again she did philosophy from Oxford, I guess. Yeah. And is the founding director of Innovation Academy of the University College Dublin. He's a professor of biophysics with international multidisciplinary research team based in UCD Conway Institute of Biomolecular and Biomedical Research. She holds multiple patents, has published in Nature, and has raised more than 35 million in research from agencies including Frontier Science Program, European Science Foundation Ireland, and Enterprise Ireland. As the Innovation Academy Director, Susie has built a team of entrepreneurs, practitioners, educators who are leading the way in entrepreneurial education in Ireland in collaboration with the government, educators and the industry. Motivated to help shape the future of education, she is particularly interested in exploring new educational paradigms both within higher institution, higher education, and wider community. She, like I mentioned, is a graduate of Oxford and has lived in Japan, worked in Vietnam, India, and Indonesia. Not forgetting coming back to Malaysia again. All right. So these are the three illustrious panelists that we have with us this morning. So without wasting much time, let me call upon Professor Dr. Amin MB to begin his presentation. Let me remind Professor again, you're only given 10 minutes, and I will have to call you back. And do you need anything? Have they prepared the so-called the pointer? The pointer, please. Prof, I mean, if you don't mind, let me remind you that this is a forum, and as much as we love to listen to your lecture, we would also like you to be engaged with the rest in terms of sharing your experience as well as your concept and theories. There you go, there you have it, and your 10 minutes start counting from now.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning, Bapak Tan Sri, Prof. Zaini, Prof. Suzy, and the person. I'm not so sure whether I'm the right person to speak this morning because I'm not directly involved in entrepreneurship education. But probably I've got some enterprising mind, so I'm going to share that. And I'm assuming that all of you have got that enterprising mind. Otherwise, I can't imagine if you are involved in entrepreneurship education and not working at all. So I think education is a business. We need to see the opportunity. And I think I would like to take the 10 minutes to share my experience. I'm involved in teacher training for more than 15 years now, and one gap that I see in the traditional training, I can only reach about 20 to 30 participants at a time. And so I thought, how can I reach more people? So I decided to, and then being an academician, I think we are all involved in either research, in teaching, or in publishing. So how can we turn that into some enterprising business, so to say? So I turn away from the traditional way of being an academic to capitalizing on the social media. I remember when I published a book with University Malaya, and I think normal publishers, they will print about 1,000 copies. And sometimes it takes about 5 years for the books to be. So I thought, that's not good. I mean, it'll take 5 years to get 100 people to read my books. So how can I reach more people? So I've decided to try out using social media. So in 2011, I wrote a book, and make it into an e-book. It's called Web 2.02 in education. And the first 2 weeks I got about 20,000 people reading my books. So wow, this is interesting. I mean 20,000 is nothing, man. So then I realized, wow, I can reach more people. And the good thing is that because I share on social media, I get a lot of feedback from colleagues all over the world. To the extent that some people pray for me. Because when I started, I make it free of charge. So, and I decided to write more. So till today, I've written 46 ebooks, and they're all available on the web. I think some of you here in the room have read my book probably. And since 2011, I managed to get 1.5 million people reading my books. And there are many educators, professors, and so forth. And interestingly enough, 1/3 of my readers are from the States. So I thought, wow, this is something that I've not, dreamt that my work can be read by people all over the world. So I'm just sharing with you some of the statistics now. So you see, some of the books have been read more than 100,000. So I thought that social media is a way for me to be more enterprising. Then, so I think if you see the presentation tools, that's nearly 100,000, and that's only about 2 years I published the book. So that made me want to write more and more. So I write every 3 to 4 months. I write because I find an audience who wants to benefit from my work. Then I decided to try something else. I decided to develop an app. This is called just-in-time training on the go. Okay? Because face-to-face training, I can only train about only 20, 30 people. But now, training can be on the go. And Jizu has been accessed by educators from 114 countries. So I've seen that when you change the media, you can reach more people. And that, I think that has helped uplift my image. I'm now known globally because of my sharing. You give me 10 minutes, so I'm going to be. So my latest is to see how can I share my thinking. So for the past few years, I've got this notion of wanting to get teachers to rethink and redesign their learning. So how do I influence people? So I decided to use the trend in technology. I'm sure you've heard about MOHE, massive open online process. So the course is now available online, and I've got 5,400 students. These students are many professors, actually, from 170 countries. So I think social media is a way for you to enterprise education. And at the moment, of course, mine is more of a social entrepreneurship. I'm giving my knowledge for free. But actually, this is a new marketing scheme. You need to get a brand. So I think if I put a price tag by now, I shouldn't have a problem because people know that even though the courses are free, it's so good. How many of you, by the way, have enrolled in my courses? I think I've got a few. Can you raise your hand? I've not met them, but I'm able to reach people in Malaysia and all over the world. Now, so this comes from 118 countries. But what I'm trying to say is that, we teach, we publish. How can we enterprise what we do? And social media can be a way to reach more people. This is an example of a course offered by this professor. She's charging me 200 USD per course, and she's got how many? About 250. Can you calculate that? And this is not even a program, this is a course. So in a MOOC, you can offer your course, you can offer your expertise, for free, or you can put a price tag. But because there's so many free courses, I think it's important that you need to create your brand. People need to know that you're so good that they're willing to pay whatever price tag. And finally, I think if you want to be more enterprise, you can turn this into a business and create your own academy. Actually, this is my ambition, to create an academy where I can facilitate educators to share their knowledge through online courses. Have I finished my 10 minutes?
We have about 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes left. And because of this, Alhamdulillah, I've gained 4 international recognitions. And last week, I was nominated for the Winway UNESCO Award, Education Award, for innovative education for teacher professional development. Because my work has sort of transformed how traditional teacher professional development has been done. So please pray that the results are going to be announced in September. If I've got my list, I'll probably get that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Dato. I think it's certainly interesting using social media, and to some extent, because I'm a professor of business, so somehow I think you could also be a professor in marketing. So then again, let's move on, and next we have, of course, Dato' Abu Hassan Ismail as the founder and president CEO of Berlangsung.
Prof, if you don't mind, I want to do my presentation standing. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera. I'm the founder of Perasmian. I think there was some brief introduction about me. That's the normal card that I carry when I visit or I show when I meet my bankers and fund managers. But this is also the other card that I carry when I go to universities. Right, I'm quite busy. I'm a council member, tailors, adjunct professor, CEO of office. Because my passion is teaching. I do a lot of teaching. I meet a lot of students. I think I get a lot of energy when I meet them, and hence why I think they're doing me a favor every time I meet them. Right? So I graduated as an architect, but now I run a business that is worth over $1 billion. Yeah? This is what we do. Our core focus is on big data analytics, cyber information security, cloud services, and e-commerce. And we work with international partners. And the recent one is Alibaba. A little bit about us. Like I said, I founded the company, more than 1 billion. We are Microsoft's largest partner. But more of the recognition. The one that we are proud of is the Forbes Best Under $1 Billion company, awarded by Forbes Asia. And you are part of the Bursa, we are part of the EES. Only 22 companies out of 1,000 companies is part of the index that practice good governance, right? And we are the smallest. We have Maybank, Petronas, all this, and Perasmian is part of the index. We are in the news recently, whether you know or not. Last week, whole of last week was in KL, Singapore, Hong Kong, trying to raise funds. We just been awarded a 3.5 billion ringgit concession. It's the largest IT project to transform the immigration system. So it's more of introducing you to what I think entrepreneurship is all about. Some of the narrative and vocabulary. Entrepreneurship is one of the few disciplines that you can actually be successful without going through a formal education. Agree? Right? Because many entrepreneurs, many of my friends, the only school that they attend is the school of hard knocks. That's what it is. Right? And entrepreneurship is about problem solving. Right? And when I look at a lot of the curriculum, majority of the curriculum that I see are actually teaching students how to be managers, not entrepreneurs. Right? And what we need to get the student is to think big and exponentially. Because the bigger the problem, the bigger is the opportunity. I was sharing with our esteemed speakers today. There's a saying by Jack Ma. If the student you want your student to solve a village problem, you'll end up having a village company. If they solve a global problem, then we'll have a global company. Simple. Very familiar, right? This is how probably all of you guys are teaching entrepreneurship. Betul? If I were you, this is how I want to teach entrepreneurship. I choose this, there's two things, right? One, the student in front, and forget. Who's at the back? It's the lecturers. The lecturers need to make the bloody jump too. And this is not happening. Okay? Right? Because we take risks all the time. The student is in front, the lecturer must be at the back. You need to make the jump. No point of just theorizing things. Like Prof. Dato says, he does it. He practices what he preaches. Right? So my wish is, when I first started, nobody taught me entrepreneurship. I'm an architect. I was one of the founding members of Multimedia University. That I left from my comfort zone. I was one of the highest paid professor at the university. Yeah, but they were not paying me enough, so I left. So it's about mentorship. What I wish I had when I first made that jump, mentorship, because risk taking is very, very lonely. Right? Secondly, access to case studies of entrepreneurs, and this is what I keep going to universities. You don't have enough case studies about entrepreneurship that students can actually refer to, especially the local ones. We are very bad at recording success story of entrepreneurs in Malaysia, right? That is what I found. If I'm wrong, please excuse me. Yeah? And access to funding options. I wish I knew what the funding options that's available when I first started. Now there's so many crowdsourcing, so many rich people out there. There's more money now than ideas. And at the end of the day, I wish I was being guided when I made my first jump, because friend is very, very painful. Okay? So, how I think the current curriculum should have, if I were to teach entrepreneurship, the first thing that I wish my lecturer would to tell me is about giving me the landscape scenarios and forecasting the future, from digital disruption right up to understanding the demographics that matters right now, which are the millennials. How many of you actually, do that, right? Second is the importance of connecting the dots. That's key. You need to guide students how to connect the dots, because that's what it is. Third is the important understanding of customer. Key to entrepreneurship and whatever you want to do, Prof says it, understanding your customer. You need to understand the customer. Next, this is probably the most painful, and I think we need to think a little bit different. Assembling X-Men. I call them X-Men. And how to collaborate in an interdisciplinary environment. This is X-Men. The risk of assembling and get a group of people who you are not comfortable with, because they can bring something that you have not thought of. This is key. I always tell my team, when I first assemble, a lot of people that I assemble, I don't know that. And that's the best part of it. You are able now to employ the best brain in your team. And you have to be, if you like, you have to be able to be challenged. A lot of entrepreneurs have got big ego. Right? Sorry to say. Right? This is how I say. Few more slides. Taking risks. Ask the student to get out of the comfort zone. Ini usaha. And if I say it's not just the student, please the lecturer too need to get out of the comfort zone. Right? And the importance of being lucky and making your own luck. And you to be lucky all the time, work hard. The harder you work, the luckier you get. There's no shortcut to making your own luck. Okay? And finally, ask the student to speak to market and testing their ideas very, very quickly. So we are launching this. I talk a lot about entrepreneurship. I see there's a big gap. We are launching this initiative or platform called EduClub. It's free. We have launched the first one. We are working with Alibaba. We are working with Amazon. We are working with Microsoft. It's coming near you. I hope you can be part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Certainly, you get it from the professor entrepreneur. He has all the traits of an entrepreneur, and not forgetting his role as a professor. So, very interesting indeed, with all the illustration. And of course, our third panelist, Professor Suzy Jarvis. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to stand up as well. So the the luck that I have in speaking last is that most things have already been said. So to start with, I just wanted to say on behalf of myself and Coleman, it's wonderful to be back. With the KPT family. And thank you to Tansri and her team at KPT for making it possible for us to get back together again today. And also, it's great to see our colleagues from Vietnam here as well today, and it's great that we're starting to share our learning within the ASEAN region. So we heard earlier from Tansri a lot of talk about the fourth industrial revolution and how we need to prepare our young people for the changes ahead. And revolution is quite a strong word. Right? I mean, it's quite a disruptive idea that's coming with this fourth industrial revolution. And people are also starting to talk about not just revolution, but new rules. The rules are changing. And we saw that with the photograph today, actually, when there was a bit of rearrangement of people in the photograph. The rules are definitely changing. Does anybody remember this from pre-EP? So the duck reminds us that actually we have some internal barriers to doing things differently, right? When we've been doing something the same way for a long time, even something simple like playing with Lego, if we learnt it one way, it's very difficult to suddenly start doing it in a different way, isn't it? So actually to go from talking about the old rules to suddenly the new rules, it's not that simple, right? We have a lot of internal and external barriers to doing that. But we already have a group of people in our community who are very used to dealing with new rules all the time, and there are entrepreneurs. Because the entrepreneurial journey is a very unpredictable, ambiguous journey. You never know what's going to come next. So actually we can learn a lot about how to adapt to new rules by learning the way entrepreneurs travel on their entrepreneurial journey. So we talk a lot about this entrepreneurial mindset, not just for people who want to start companies, but the value of an entrepreneurial mindset for everybody in our community. So we talk about three things that seem to be a common thread for all entrepreneurs. And one thing is creating value. Entrepreneurs are very focused on creating value. It can be social value, like you were talking about earlier. It can be economic value. But really focused on not just creating something for the sake of creating something, but that it has real value to other people. Engaging others is really key. There's a big difference between being self-employed and being an entrepreneur. And it's about the way that you engage the people around you, bring other people on that journey. And then the third thing we talk about is learning from intentional iteration. And that's really, I suppose, what we were talking about with taking risks and learning from failure and picking yourself up and trying it all over again. That's what we talk about when we're talking about learning from iteration. So those are the things that we've been trying to develop in our students for some time and trying to figure out what are the best ways of doing this. And things like engaging our students with people outside the university, trying to get businesses and entrepreneurs involved in what we're doing, starting to move towards practitioner educators and finding out how we can share this type of learning around these mindsets. So if you remember back to the 3EP program, lots and lots of activity. We had you going outside, talking to people in the community, trying to figure out what are other people's problems. Because like we were hearing earlier, if you want to solve a local village problem, then you'll end up with a village company. If you solve a global problem, then you'll end up with a global company. But what are the problems? What are the things that people are really worried about? And how do you find out what their problems are? So all our development of programs, we've tried to get people really involved in empathy and finding out what other people's problems are. So we had quite a journey during the, I think, 9 days of the 3EP, but what we're really interested in is what's your journey been after 3EP to today? What kind of things have you experienced when you've been trying more experiential programs with your students? What are the challenges that you've really been facing? So we know that a lot of people have been very active in trying new learning methods and disruptive educational methods with students in our classes, but it's quite a big step again to go from working with our own students to reaching more students and actually going to develop a whole new educational ecosystem. So I think we've got a great opportunity here today, thanks to Zarina and MassMed and SESMed for pulling this program together today to really start to explore what are the challenges that we faced, and as a community today can we start to look for solutions. So I guess this is really the point where we want to start to invite input from the audience. We want to hear your experiences, tell us your stories, and let's see together if, as a community, we can start to explore solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor, and the rest of the panelists make my job so easy because they're within time. There's no issue here. The only thing before we open the discussion on the floor, I think a few of our panelists here would like to provide some views after listening to the rest, and perhaps provide some comments or some other input to enhance the discussion before we open the floor. I think Prof. Dato just now has sort of pinched me and said, is there any possibility for him to say something with regard to that? Please.
I think I would like to pick up 2 points raised by Dr. Mohassan. One is that I think it's very important for us to understand the millennials, the Gen Z. And I'm sure many of us, in our training, we talk about pedagogy and andragogy. Actually, there are 2 new body of knowledge that I want all of you to explore. One is called Putrajaya. Have you heard of it? It's called Putrajaya. Putrajaya is the art of assisting these millennials. These millennials, they can be self-directed learners. And the other body of knowledge is called Perasmian or Putrajaya, the art of learning from each other, self-instruction. I think the new generation, they are there. That's number 1. Number 2 is, I think that the doctor was also saying that you can't afford to teach from the podium anymore. The learning has to be different. So I think at the moment, if you're teaching entrepreneurship, learning by listening, then we are left behind. I do a lot of training. I think learning should be by doing, learning should be by creating, and learning should be by sharing. And especially, I think in entrepreneurship education, I think we should explore more into challenge-based learning. I think people learn by raising up to the challenge. So this is something that I would like to maybe get all of you to explore. By the way, I'm going to launch my MOOC on Putrajaya and Perasmian in September.
It's good. Yeah, perhaps from Doctor and Prof.
I'm glad I'm not teaching Prof. all this terminology. I think all this terminology are being developed to torture people like me. So that I don't go into your comfort zone. No, I think Prof, you are right. Millennials, I have a series of lectures just on millennials. Right? Remember, I also do a lot of lectures and understanding them because they are the most disruptive. Right? I refer to a lot of books by John Texcott, for example. I started him. I know him very well. From being digital and grown up digital and so on and so forth. Right? So, I'm not here to preach you. That's what I feel. I think the best way of, I think all the speakers have said, is just go out and do it. Right? Make sure that you give students big problem to solve. And I was telling the speakers in the holding group, when I go to the university, my problem is that a lot of our students are not ambitious enough. Right? They are trying to solve small problems. And you know what? And I think only I can say this, because the lecturers are not ambitious. Lecturer bagi problem kampung. sorry, I organize a lot of competition. I know that because I organize, and there's a new disrupt competition, national competition. I put my money, I put a lot of money in this, right? My own money, not the company's money. So I'm putting up a price of 500,000 ringgit, right, to do this, right? They will announce it very, very soon. When I see the feedback that I get, a lot of the students, what the problem that they're trying to solve is very, very local in nature. So the first thing, identify the biggest problem that you have, right? Reach out. Get out of the comfort zone. That's all.
All right. Yeah, Prof. Jam, is there anything that you'd like to?
Well, I think I'd be interested to follow up on the comment about ambition of educators, because I think a little bit we keep moving the goalposts on educators. So the goalpost for a long time has been around research and publication. And when you move the goalpost to now it's about ambition around enterprise, I think we need to support educators in doing that, and it's trying to find the best way of doing that and doing that at scale. I think doing things at scale, there's always a tension between, yes, we have methods now of reaching more people, but it can be challenging to still hold on to some of the core values of the face-to-face interaction. How do we develop strong ethics and moral conduct, and how do we develop community? And some of those things are a little bit more challenging in an online context. So it's trying to find the balance between the two.
Thank you. Thank you again. I was really interested by the fact that when Dr. Abu mentioned about one of the approach is to get the instructor behind to push you when you go parachuting. So I was thinking perhaps it should be the other way around. The students should stay behind and push their instructor down. Parachute. Never mind for that instructor. Well, now it's time for us to open the forum for the members of the floor. But the rule here is please identify your name and which organization that you come from. With that, I would like to open the forum, the discussion to the floor. You don't want Dr. Abu to push you, right? Yeah, there you go.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning. Hello and hi, all those educators. Nama saya Hassan Said. Saya adalah one of the facilitator for the 3EP education program, starting from August way back last year until April this year. So I was under UKM on the starting an enterprise. So I want to share the take-home pay that I have gone through this program. Dato' Abu, I'm an entrepreneur. I can claim myself an entrepreneur all along, and I'm now diluted with an academician world, so that I'm more or less like a hybrid between a teacher, a coach or mentor, and an entrepreneur. So I want to share this. When I got out from the first 3D program, the take-home pay that I realized is the student wants to start a business, they need capital. That is 70% or 80%. Telling me during the coffee break or tea time, student challenge is capital. Because I was in the corporate, I have my own business, I retired from my corporate life, I become a venture capitalist, and I intend to invest in young people. That's why I get involved in this program. So good, I said. So build up capital. I gather my friends, either financial institution, non-bank, some Visa or MasterCard, they are willing to give a microfinance between 5,000 and 10,000. I start knocking the door of every university where the student wants to start a business, need a capital, but then there was no takers. Because we know along an entrepreneur, if you want to start a business, capital is not an issue. It is the idea and the execution of the idea. So one. Then I said, hey, they tell me that they need a capital, but it is not the case. After the second 3EP, I start to tweak the approach. Instead of capital, there must be a platform. You think outside the box. Capital is not a reason. You come up with a platform, a mobile apps where the student can start without a marginal cost of capital.
Can I, sorry, this session called for asking questions and giving short input, so that we can allow for more to actually participate.
So,
what is your question? Actually?
My question is, after the educator has been having some training session, when it comes to the crunch of it, it doesn't happen. It takes another an entrepreneur to take over. So, what is your comments on this?
Okay, this is about financial issue. I think that's what you're trying to get to. May have great ideas and whatever it is, but financing.
Financial issues, a ready-made of business.
Okay.
A ready-made of business. Thank you.
Okay, you're most welcome. Thank you again. Please, any of our panel would respond to that very quickly.
Actually, I agree with you. There's so much money out there. The issue is the ambition and the idea, right? And now we even have a certified crowdsourcing platform, right? Maybe what we need to do is to expose the students and the lecturers to all this ecosystem that is out there. Definitely, when we launch EduCloud, one of the things that we're going to do, EduCloud is a marketplace to bring the whole ecosystem together in one platform so that we can match ideas as well as financial. So I think the time is right. Like I've said, the only problem that I see is that there are not many good ideas and there are not many entrepreneurs who wants to make that leap. I think that's what the whole idea is. And I'm glad to see that you are actually evaluating, the goalposts now, right? Instead of just about MOHE reporting about employability, you need to report about the number of entrepreneurs, right? And it's very distressing for me when students graduating from a degree in entrepreneurship ending up looking for jobs. Surely there's something wrong, right?
Something wrong, certainly.
Right. So, the goalpost now is clear. I hope that you can continue to do this reporting. And I think we are all on the right track. It's going to be painful. Let me put it this way. It's going to be painful.
Sure. Any other info? Yeah.
A big part of entrepreneurship is really empathizing with people and trying to understand what their problems are. So I think it would be really good to hear from educators as to what they think the problems are. Why are we not getting more students turning to entrepreneurship? What are the real issues underneath? It's really not about finance. It's really not about having access to the right platforms. So let's listen and find out what are the real issues and the problems to solve.
I would like to give some input here because at one time when I was the rector of this Langat campus, one of the things that I would like to create is opportunity for graduates as well as students who are moving on with their semester until they graduate. What do I mean by opportunities? Because in our campus, we have what we call spaces that can be rented out. And either it is on an incubating platform where we have the current student coming in to incubate and then to start their business, or students that have just graduated, not knowing where to do, but with an ambition of actually starting their business, but no opportunity to get the space. So what I told them with my team is, all right, we're giving you the space, but only for the next 2 years, with very minimal rental, and you start your business. And whatever financing that you need, then we have our own basket or certain dana or tabung that can help you if your business plan is good. So those are some kind of approach that we would like to put in so that they can move on. Having said that, maybe we'll get more comments and questions. We would prefer for you to write the question to our illustrious panel here. Please.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have. Can I ask that question? Okay. Okay. From awesome. I'm the first batch of KDP from UKM. I'm very lucky that I am attached to a research institute in UKM, and we don't have undergraduate students. Most of our students are, all of them are postgraduate students. So my question will be focused on the readiness of the student. This is a challenge where I find that most of postgraduate students, for PhD especially, they are doing PhD because it is required by their employer for them to get a PhD so that they can teach in their university. And then for postgraduate, for master's student, it's also a career development purpose. So when they meet me, for example, okay, I'm very ambitious, passionate, very chirpy, lucky, let's go and do something, let's do ethnography, try to understand what's the problem. Okay, they get interested in entrepreneurship. But when it goes to another, the different, well, if my students go to lectures in this hall, I suppose it will continue. So the continuation is not there. How do we actually keep this? So that when they move from one class, one module to another module, they get the same spirit about entrepreneurship. Yeah, so how can we do this?
So, excuse me, you are asking with regards to postgraduate students like yourself, or even with the intention of you becoming a lecturer, how do you get more creative interest about postgraduate students?
No, I received my PhD.
Oh, you got your PhD?
Yeah.
And now working in the university?
Yes, I'm a senior lecturer there. Right. So this is my question, how do we continue? Because
to sustain.
To sustain, exactly, yes, indeed. Yeah, so how do we do that? Because from one module, they can be very ambitious, and then they go to another, okay, let's focus on the subject matter. Yeah, okay.
Alright, okay. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Saleh with Unimac. Sorry. Well, these are three reflections. One, reflections on what has been said by Dr. Hassan regarding bachelor's in business administration, which most universities are offering right now. MBA, master in business administration, which most of the universities are offering. And sometimes we graduate from these universities with BBA, MBA, and DBA, and we assume that we are teaching or we are helping our students to learn entrepreneurship. And there's a big difference about BBA, managing other people's business, rather than managing our own business, where we take risks. The element of risk is not much in the BBA. So if we claim that we have BBA, MBA, and BBA, we can be good teachers in entrepreneurship. I think you're wrong. Thank you. One. Number two, entrepreneurship education is not only about developing our students to be entrepreneurs. We want to develop them to be entrepreneurial, enterprising, so that we can develop an enterprise culture. Normally, a society with a very strong enterprise culture would be more likely to generate more entrepreneurs. That means here, the curriculum must focus on developing entrepreneurial graduates or enterprise graduates. And developing this, I certainly agree that right now, what we are doing right now at our local university, and also in the US, for example. I was teaching at Ohio University for 3.5 years. I know what they are doing. our focus right now is not about teaching entrepreneurship, but about helping our students to be enterprising and entrepreneurial. And that again need us to change from teaching to helping our students to learn, experience. And the focus should not be on the lectures, but focus should be on the process and the outcome of learning. I hope I'm not being philosophical about it, but I think all in all, take Prof. Dr. Prof. Amin, he's coming up with enterprising methods of learning entrepreneurship. And Prof. Suzy is talking about enterprise education. But actually enterprise education in the UK and Wales normally focus on the basics of enterprise education, how to be enterprising, not necessarily to be entrepreneurs. But hoping that at the end of the day, that a good, strong group would be entrepreneurial and entrepreneurs. And lastly, Prof. Abu well said that what we are teaching today is not the right method. We should focus not on the lectures, but focus on the process of learning and outcome of learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think this is the good thing that come out of this forum. I think this is the good thing that come out of this forum when people start churning out ideas, giving comments and whatever it is. I'll stop at that, but the two questions are very relevant questions, and I would like to call upon the panelists, maybe to begin with. Prof. Jarvis, can you start it?
So, yeah, I think Ali raised a very good question about we're all here trying to develop more experiential classes for our students, and our students get very curious and ambitious in these classes, but then they maybe go into a traditional lecture theatre to study their disciplines, and how do we kind of mainstream a lot of the approaches that we're taking. And I mean, I think it's a difficult problem to solve, partly because you won't get every educator engaged in the same way as we are here. And it's very hard for educators to go out and say, well, you need to be doing it like I'm doing it. That doesn't go down well in an academic environment. But I think what can happen is, as the students get more engaged with certain types of learning experiences, they will start asking of their lecturer, why are we sitting in the lecture theatre listening to you when in the other classes we're more engaged and we're doing a real life projects, that kind of thing. So I think when it comes from the students, it actually makes it easier than if it comes from us to our colleagues. And then on the second point around, I think it was very closely matched to one of the shifts from actually looking at inputs in education to looking at outcomes and the outcome around an entrepreneurial mindset. I think one of the challenges maybe in academia is that we're very focused on assessment, and we really don't know how to assess an entrepreneurial mindset. It's very difficult. We can't set an exam and say, oh, this person does have an entrepreneurial mindset, this person doesn't. How do you measure things like somebody's creativity? And I think until we probably think a little bit more about our assessment methods and how well they are aligned to the outcomes we want, we're constantly going to have that tension in academia.
Sure. All right. There was somebody walking with a sign that says that you don't have too many minutes left. So the questions, the points are very interesting. I would like maybe Prof. Dato, and after that would be Dr. Hassan to begin up. Yeah.
In my training, I tell people that there are three ways of teaching. One is teaching by telling, what I call teaching by spoon feeding. Second is teaching by showing. Instead of telling, you show that you demonstrate. But I believe that the best way of teaching is when you turn the table around, teaching by putting them at the driver's seat. Let them, like Jarvis was saying, the experiential. Number two, I'd like to pick up from Jarvis. I think assessment is very important. I've spoken to the minister that we need to go into alternative form of assessment. we are so focused on paper-based, that we forgot about, performance-based assessment. I always, in fact, I created a video. I said, why can't our final exam be like, challenge-based? People come here, give them a challenge, they rise up to the challenge, and they are graded, on how they're able to perform and the processes that they do. So I think these are my 2 points.
And finally, of course,
Dato', I agree with you. I think that the KPIs or the way you assess education needs to change. Currently, everyone is proud about our ranking, and none of the ranking assess entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship. So I think it's time that maybe we develop, together with you guys, how we assess entrepreneurial spirit or entrepreneurial culture in the university, and put our own ranking, right? Until and unless you have that goalpost published, so that we are all based on the way we work based on the way we are being assessed. So that assessment has to change instead of just those rankings that you see. I think I applaud you, and I hope that you can come up with a totally new way of assessing entrepreneurship culture at the university. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Again, like I said, we play by the time, and we have reached the maximum time limit. And obviously, those comments and questions coming from the audience was very good. I mean, it's a very good question, and I think we learned from the question as much. And obviously, to conclude, I wish I could have more time to say something about it, but the conclusion, as far as this forum is concerned, it certainly is interesting, exciting, and obviously the takeaway would be something that we can think about and discuss over lunch, coffee, or whatever it is. Again, thank you to the organizing committee, thank you to the ministry, and all of you present here for making this, inshallah, a successful one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All the best to all of us.